if baseball wasn't here in Cambodia, then we were like, let's start baseball here in Cambodia.
Are you in any danger from the traffickers, your organization, or any people who do what you do?
We have to be careful that the traffickers don't come looking for the girls. We take in children as young as 3, and yes, we've had 3.
Oh my God.
3. Oh, those will rip your heart out. They rip your heart out.
So I want to start off by saying, baseball is definitely important in our lives, but I think you and your husband and your whole family are doing something that's extraordinary. And Jessica, could you tell us about your project Esther House and all about that, and about yourself as well? Maybe start off a little bit about yourself. For those of you who don't know, Jessica Neitz is the assistant coach of the Cambodian men's national baseball team, and also has Esther House, which is in Cambodia. And I'll let you explain that, because you are the founder and organizer, operator, all of the above.
Yeah, my family and I moved here we moved in September of 2012, so we're just hitting our 8-year mark. I have 2 boys, Cole, who's 13, and my other son, Liam, who's 7. Yeah, so we've been here 8 years. We do some work in Vietnam as well, but we have our home, Esther's House. It has about 24 girls now. All have been brought in from some pretty horrible situations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And when they come to us, they're given immediate medical attention, and then psychiatric attention as well. And so we kind of bring them through the physical and mental healing.
Wow. Do you have staff on hand at Esther's House? Yeah.
10 staff.
Okay.
We are a level 1 home. And so what that means is a level 1 home will actually receive the child immediately after the incident, where as the lower you get, you'll get them after, a couple months. But since we're a level 1, so we get them immediately after their situation. So they have to go into medical. A lot of them have been severely abused. And so we have a great doctor here who has a Khmer staff that works with the girls, and so and they're very loving and kind, and so yeah, and then our staff at the house is trained to receive these girls, and so they've been doing this now for 8 years. We've only had a couple staff turnaround, but for the most part the original staff is still there, which has been great. And so yeah, so we have that house. After they go through the medical and that, then we walk through court with them, and that can be in Cambodia. That can be very difficult. The way that it's paid is that you pay the judge and you pay the police and you pay all this, which kind of sounds like bribing, but it's not. You need their services, and so therefore you pay. But unfortunately, because of the way that system works, then the other party can pay a little bit more, and then it becomes a bribe and turns.
Oh, wow.
So it's an uphill battle. They have gotten a lot better. They have changed their laws to allow police officers not to accept bribes and stuff like that. So I don't want to get into that part of it.
Sure.
But yeah, so we walked through them with their court. By that time, the girls have probably been in the house for a month. And when they're released by the counselor, then we put them in school. And for a lot of them, it's the first time they've ever gone to school. And so, because they come from countryside, a lot of times they're working for their families or having to earn an income. And so we get them into school and start that process with them.
How did you and your husband, was this a calling? This is amazing. And we're going to put a link in here for anybody who, I'm sure you do accept donations, correct? Yeah. Who would like to donate to this.
We worked in San Francisco with the ministry there for 10 years. That's how we met. And And we worked with the homeless and the drug addicts and prostitutes and people working on the streets of San Francisco. And we were doing that, but we knew we wanted to do something overseas with kids, but we didn't know exactly what that was or what it looked like. And so we just, we prayed and said, okay, God, like open up doors, and, we're just going to we're going to do what we're doing. But if something opens up, then we'll walk through it. And at that point, these trips to other parts of the country or, other parts of the world started opening up. So we went to Brazil, and while we were there, we, learned that a lot of kids were dying from bad water. And so we started a water distribution. We have these filters that we pass out to communities, and they can filter really, really bad water for a lifetime. And so we started doing that. And then my husband had a trip to Africa, and what we learned from the trip to Africa is that we didn't feel, we obviously we love kids, but we didn't feel a call to Africa like I think a lot of people do. And so we were just kind of, okay, well, God, what's going to happen? And then at that time, but the lady we met in Africa said, you'll know where you're supposed to be, because when you see the children's faces, you won't be able to forget them. Mm. And that's what happened when we went to Vietnam and Cambodia, is got off the plane and immediately just fell in love with the country and the kids. And that's when we learned about the horrific stuff that was happening to kids. And I know it's been, I know a lot of people have made videos. CNN has come in and done some stories on it. But the biggest problem is that a lot of people were coming in and rescuing these girls. But then once you rescue the girls, you have to have a place for them to go. And there wasn't a lot of options for rehabilitation. There's and so we just kind of wanted to fill that hole. And we met a man here that has been working with the FBI and the police, and he'd been doing it for 10 years. And the one thing you need in this country is somebody that you can depend on, that is honorable, trustworthy, and so we met him on our first trip here, and it's been going on 10 years where we've worked with this man, and he's just incredible. And so we come alongside him, and it's a partnership. And so, yeah. So
you're in it for the long haul, you think?
Long haul. I always tell people we don't have an exit plan.
Okay. So indefinitely.
Yeah. I mean, we have.
Same here, living in Japan. You're ever going to come back? Oh, I don't know, maybe, Right now it doesn't look, you get kids in school and you build a life there, before you know it, you go back to when I go back to the States, I kind of feel like a stranger. It doesn't feel like home anymore.
No, it doesn't. And for us, we house hop, and so there's not really a place that we call home. So it's going around and speaking a lot to organizations and churches and seeing friends. But yeah, it's not the same. But that's I was talking to somebody the other day, because with the COVID and people who are concerned that we're not home, I air quote home.
Right.
I was like, well, I think you've forgotten that we've been here for 8 years, and Cambodia is home. So, the kids have their friends, they have their school, we have our community, and so yeah, we home is here. So
yeah, it's funny how things work out like that. I never imagined, when I was growing up, that I would not call America home, really. But it happens. I think it's okay. I'm at peace with it. Well, so I know some high-profile people have come to Cambodia and advocated for this. Those who have been trafficked, like Angelina Jolie, and there was one other woman. I remember seeing a documentary who was like yelling out at the traffickers. Do you remember? I can't remember, but anyhow.
Yeah.
Have you worked with any high-profile people on this?
I think my high-profile people don't quite fit in the world's high-profile people, but there's an organization here that's been working for probably. I mean, there's been people here that have been here longer than 20 years. Mm-hmm. And to me, those are the high-profile people. They were here before human trafficking became, the unfortunately, it's considered the moneymaker because a lot of donations go into human trafficking right now. And so it there's something glamorous about like giving your money towards rescuing girls, and I'm trying to say that it's a positive thing, and so I'm not trying to make it sound like it's a negative thing, but if you there is a spotlight on human trafficking right now, and so but when I look at the my heroes, they're Dawn and Bridget Brewster, who work with AIM, who's been an organization here. They actually have come alongside the Cambodian police, and they strategically do raids, and not only raids, but then they prosecute the people. So,
are you in any danger from the traffickers, your organization, or any people who do what you do? Have you?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely. I mean, you can hear stories of the people that go directly into the bars and the brothels, and even private sectors, who have death threats, who have been they've had to move because their location was found. A lot of them. I actually have to be careful how I talk about it because they have their strategic plan on how they do it. But yeah, I mean, there is a danger. As far as me and my family, we decided not to get into the rescue part of it.
Okay.
The restoration part.
Right.
So,
safer.
it's
yeah.
a little bit safer. We have to be careful that the traffickers don't come looking for the girls afterwards, and so we're in a location.
Okay. Wow.
Occasionally, we can have a guard on the outside of our house if we have a high-profile case. We've had a few Americans that have been prosecuted.
Wow.
So, but the biggest, I think, threat that we have had is just we had a family of the man come to our house and just say, hey, we'll pay you a lot of money. If he goes to jail, we lose our income. And they didn't condone what he did, but they needed him still in their life because he was their primary income. And so they, obviously we refused their bribe, but unfortunately, right. It was received by the government and the case was dropped. And so that's the kind of stuff that we have to deal with. And but yeah, there is a danger to it. There's a danger here in Cambodia because, you have to watch out for your kids and make sure they're with you. And so, yeah.
It sounds like, a lot of these girls probably come from impoverished backgrounds and they're in survival mode and their family may depend on them I don't know, if their parents know about it. You would know that better than me, but have there been cases where the girls, went back into that because, again, them and their families are in survival mode?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very common thing throughout the organizations that do what we do. Girls running away is a big because they're not in jail, and
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't want it and they want to run away, we'll do what we can to try to find them. But yeah, trying to the amount of income that they receive for doing this, some of it's substantial. And here in Cambodia, there is people with money, and then without money, there's not really a So teaching a girl who can, how to sew or, a new trade, doesn't even compare. And so you have to teach them, the other part of it. Like, why is this not good for you? Why, how is this dangerous for you? But when they're making money for their families, that's hard. So, yeah.
Most of them.
They've been abused pretty bad. So,
yeah.
Host is actually minors. We take in children as young as 3, and yes, we've had 3.
Oh my God.
3. Oh, those will rip your heart out. They rip your heart out. They, you have to remain. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. So we've had as young as 3, and we can take up to 18 years old if they're still in school. And are going regularly, then they can stay in our house and continue with their education. But we're a minor's house, so we actually take in girls that most likely were not doing this on their own. They were forced into it.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few organizations that take in 18 and over, and they provide transitional housing. So it's trying to teach them how to live on their own, have a job, go to school, and that one has a higher risk of return because of the money. So, but yeah, we were primarily with children. Yeah.
Can you talk about like some of the more successful girls to come out of your house and what they've done with their lives?
Yeah. Well, right now, because as far as we're about to see our first girl get into university.
Congratulations.
That age of it, because like I said, we take younger age, and our goal is to only keep them into the house within a year.
Okay.
So because as long as the family wasn't involved, then they can return. Then our goal is to get them back into their house. And most of the families don't. What happened to their child is horrific, and they don't have the means to provide the medical or to prosecute or to do that. So we take on that burden for them. But then we also counsel the family, because if you counsel the child but then put them right back into the place, without counseling the parents, then you're just putting them back into a toxic situation, and it can happen again. Yeah. And so try to counsel the whole family and restore the whole family before we give the child back. We actually have a girl that's been in our house since we opened, and her family is involved, and they refuse to give up the person who had done it. And we are not allowed by law to give that child back to the house because obviously the person, the perpetrator is still out, and the family won't give up his whereabouts. So in that situation, I knew her. She's the same age as my son, and so I've known her since she was 5 or 6 years old, and she is top of her class, just thriving in school, just a beautiful young lady. We get a lot of malnourished children into the home, and so she's just thriving. We've had a couple of the older ones, they go back home, and the way we are able to keep track of them is we help them start small family businesses, and so we'll pay the cost of that, and then we consider it a loan with a $5 a month payback.
Okay.
Well, it costs us way more than $5.
Yeah. It's a donation. Yeah.
But we collect the money, and then that gives us an opportunity to check up on the girls and to keep, to make sure that they're staying in school or they're, doing well. And so we call it a loan, but it's not so much. But yeah, most of our girls right now are still, they're in high school. And if they leave our home, most of the time, if they leave our home, they will not continue school back in their countryside. So that's when we send them home. We strongly encourage the parents to keep them in school and why and the benefits of it. So, but women here in Cambodia, their role as a wife is to cook and take care of the babies and clean and so which is fine, but we want to make sure that they're taken care of too. So
Wow. So, all right, that was a pretty heavy subject, but I mean, very interesting, and I applaud what you and your husband do. I mean, man, I need to start doing some volunteering or something. This is, but anyhow, that's very, and we're gonna I'll put a link in here so where people can contact you and donate, hopefully.